Okay, so let me just go back a little bit because I want to just recap some elements that I just mentioned. As I mentioned, or as I was just talking along, the Microsoft Dynamics 365 project operations basically connects all the functionalities, all the sales, all the project management and finance team. The idea is just have more elements or more, yes, basically more elements to manage a project, but just from the sales side to the project management like procedure. At the beginning, the model was called Project Service Automation. It was released on the October 1st, but later the name changed to Project Operations. So the model at the moment, the name is Project Operations, and that's the model that we are going to be covering today. Um, the elements that I'm going to be reviewing today is going to be the key features and capabilities of the model. After that, I'm going to explain you how to install it. And then I'm going to be doing like a practical exercise, or we are going to just going around the platform just to try to present the most important functionalities. Because as I mentioned before, the model has a lot of things to see. So I'm going to be reviewing or just presenting the most important ones. Um, okay, let's start with the key features. Basically, this model consists on 8 core models that works together in Dynamics CRM. And the idea is that I'm going to be mentioning the models and mentioning some of the features or some of the elements that you have to keep in mind when you just start doing using the model, using the functionality. The first model that you're going to have available is going to be the opportunity management. That basically is the same opportunity models that you have in the sales model. But the feature here is that you could, this model enables management to understand the organization's pipeline and prepare for the new business. The idea is that if you start reviewing the process from the sales side, you are going to be able to see that progress and to identify what is going to be your requirements or what is going to be your availability, your required availability for attend some projects. So that's why the process is starting the opportunity management. Additionally, the model provides visibility into potential opportunities, their cost, and the projected profitability. Basically, that's the opportunity model that you already have in the sales model. But if you don't have like a traditional sales model installed, or if you are not using the traditional sales model and you want to start with the project's operation, that's a good way to start because probably you could just bring that functionality and start over with that. The next model that you are going to have available is the project planning. That is a model that is going to is natively integrated with Microsoft Project and is going to enable you to schedule your resources, to prepare the activities, to define the time, to define the progress, to define when the activity is going to be just completed. So the model is really, that's some really good stuff there. And I'm going to be presenting you that model in the practical exercise. But basically, this enables you to do planning of your projects, enables you sales and project management to collaborate because you are going to start from sales, you are going to pass through the project, and you are going to be reviewing all things in the same platform. Additionally, you're going to have some dashboards to review the cost, the duration, and the value offered to the prospect or client. The idea is just have all the visibility from the sales side to the project side and start to mixing or collaborating everything in the same platform. That's something that I'm going to be explaining you in the next practical exercise. The third model is going to be the resource management. That is a model that allows you to configure all your resources, not just the people. Could be places, could be machines, could be some elements that you are going to require for your project. You could configure all the resources in the platform and later you could do that planning. you could review and assign some activities or relay some activities to a specific resources. And later you could identify what's the level of use of that resources. And you are going to be able to identify what resources probably are not totally assigned or what resources are available for a specific day. So that's something really cool. I'm going to mention something here is that I don't know if you are aware of that, but there is a model that is the resource scheduling. The resource scheduling is like the base that is going to be used in many different other models in CRM. So if you have the resource scheduling, you already have the platform or the base to do resource management. And later, when you start using the project operation or when you start using some other functionalities in CRM that require resources, that require a calendar, that require some like requested of the resources, it's going to be based in the same model. So I'm going to show you that model too, but because I want to highlight some elements in that integration. Okay, additionally, you're going to have a model of mobility. Basically, it's not like a specific model or like a specific app. It's just to mention that there are some functionalities that you are going to have available in your mobile, and they are going to be directly related to the project management. What functionalities? For example, you could record, you could have the time entry directly in your mobile. So if you are working in a specific project and you want to have time entry for that project, you could have this model and start using the time entry there. Additionally, if you have some expenses and you want to record that expenses related to the project, you could use the mobile functionality and have that record directly in your project. Additionally, they mention like a model, the team collaboration that basically enable team members to collaborate on projects and maintain the current and accurate project status at all time. Basically, one of the main strengths of the model is the possibility to have, I mean, that enables you to have all the things regarding to your projects in just one place. And that enables everybody, and I mean all the resources, to be directly in the project, record the time entry, record the expenses, record the progress, and have all the things and all the information regarding the project in just one place. The time entry and expenses management, that is a functionality that I already mentioned. I just mentioned it in the mobility model. But additionally, if you want, you could go directly to the web or in the mobile, and you could have that record directly in the CRM. I mean, in the project operations model. It's really easy to enter. There is additional functionalities like approvals, like automatic approvals that you could configure. So I'm going to show you that too, because I think that it's really, really good thing. There is a customer billing model that allows you to track, to update, to approve all the billings. I mean, you could send the billings, you could schedule the billing, and you could have all the things related to the billing of the project directly in just one platform. Additionally, you are going to have a service analytic model that is a real-time analytic functionality that allows you to see what's happening with your projects. It's an interactive business intelligence functionality that helps you to see the current status of the project. Additionally, you could configure some KPIs to understand what's happening with the projects and if the project is going well or not. So that's additional functionalities that you could have in the model and that are going to help you with a lot of things there. The project operation also comes with Power BI built-in. I mean, you could include some Power BI functionalities directly in the project operations model, and that allows you to see what's happening with the project and a real-time analysis of the current situation of the project. Okay, so that's something that you're going to have available directly in the model. Okay, So let's start with how to install the platform, how to install the model. So the first thing that you need to do is that you need to go to the Power Platform Admin Center, and there you're going to be able to install it. You need to be a global administrator or at least a Power Platform administrator, because if not, you are not going to be available to install that. And when you enter to this platform with that user, you are going to just go to Manage Dynamics 365 Apps, and you are going to be able to install it. I will show you how to do it. So just go to the Power Platform Center, admin.powerplatform.microsoft.com. Just log in. And when you log in, you could go, I mean, there is two ways to do it. You could just select the environment that you want to install it. Probably, I mean, in my case, it's going to be the Optimus demo base. And here you will see many choices. You could click in Dynamics 365 apps. And then you are going to be able to click on Install App. And when you click there, you are going to see the apps that are available for installation. And you just need to select the project operations model. I already have it installed. So it's going to be this one, Microsoft Dynamics 365 Project Operations. So just need to click, just select the app, let's say that probably this one, and just click on next, and then that's it. It's going to be installed. The installation process is going to take probably, I don't know, probably 1 hour. And later it's going to be available just straight here. Okay. That's the installation process. It's really simple. After that, when you install the platform, you just came here to the apps in CRM, and you are going to find this model. Actually, when you install that, there are three things that are going to appear. The first one is going to be this one, project. The second one is going to be project operation. The third one is going to be project operation teams. And probably, and if you don't have it previously installed, you are going to see the resource scheduling model that is the base. Okay, so probably you are going to have 4 additional models there, 4 additional apps there, sorry. But the one that we are going to be using, at least in this session, is going to be the project operation. And I'm going to talk a little bit about the project operation things later, because it's the platform that the regular people is going to be using. I mean, for record the time entry, for record expenses, and for record some progress. But the functionality that we are going to be reviewing today is going to be the project operations. Okay. So on the project operations model, you are going to have many different areas. The first one is going to be projects, the second one resources, sales, settings, and training. To start using the model, I will recommend you to configure at the beginning the resources. So when you came to resources, as you can see here, I have some, a bunch of resources. To configure some additional resource, you just need to click on new. You need to define the resource type. What are the resource type? It's going to be a contact, that is going to be a person that's not, that is not your employee, someone that is created in the CRM, but you probably have some contractors, or you have some additional people that is going to be related to some activities. So you just need to create that resources as a contact. If you have some people that is related to the company and that has CRM users, so you just need to create the resource as a user. If you don't, why do I have to create a user as a resource? Because the planning model is based on resources. It's not based on users. So if you have someone that is created as a user, but it's not created as a resource, it's someone that is not going to be available for the resource planning. So you need to create him as a resource. Additionally, you could create equipment as resource, you could create an account, you could create a crew, you could create a facility, you could create a pool. There's a lot of things here that you could use as a resource. But something that you have to keep in mind is that if you create a resource as a user, later you cannot change that. Okay, so let me enter to my resource. After creating users, you are not going to be able to change the resource type. So it's going to be user, and it's going to be related to this specific user, and that's it. Okay. Additionally, you could define the time zone. It's really important because the schedule is based on the time. So probably it's a good idea identify what is the time zone for each user. Additionally, you could configure some project services. I think that this is something really cool because you could define the skills that the resource have. And additionally, you could define the roles that the resource could have. I mean, for example, if I just select here, and let's say that I'm going to select here that I'm going to be a project manager, and I could be a technician, and I could be, I don't know, an architect or whatever. I could define the possible, the many different possible roles. And additionally, I could define the skills that I have. So what it means that, for example, if I have some skills like a designer or like I don't know, you could configure the skills that you want. And additionally, you could define the rating. I mean, you could define if someone is familiar, is really good, is proficient. Okay, so you could configure each resource with the capabilities. I mean, with the roles, you could configure some additional roles, of course. You could configure the skills that you want to highlight. You could configure the proficiency models, and you could define some priorities and some additional stuff that we are going to be reviewing later. But basically, when you configure a resource, you could configure all the characteristics of all the features related to that resource that are going to be something that's going to add you value in the schedule plan. Okay. So later you could define the scheduling. You could define here if the person is going to start usually from his house, for example, or is going to start directly from the company, or is going to start some specific location. You could define here the organization unit that is going to be related, because you could distribute resources based on an organizational unit that previously was called like a zone, but now it's an organizational unit. Additionally, you could configure if the resource is going to be available for a schedule board or is going to be available for availability search. Probably there are some resources that you don't want to enable for be just searched, but it's something that you could configure. Additionally, it's going to appear some field service things here, and this is because, as I mentioned before, the resource planning model. That's not the name. The name is resource scheduling. The resource scheduling is going to be the base, and based on and over that base is going to be the project operation model, but the field service model is going to be based in the same model. So that's why the field service is tab appear here, because I have a field service installed here yet too. Okay. Additionally, you need to configure the work hours. That's something that's really important, because it's the way to identify when the person is going to be available. So for example, if I want to change this, I have to click here. I'm going to click on edit, and I'm going to edit, for example, all event in the series. So here I could configure at what time that person is going to be working. Let's say that I don't work as a machine, that I work, for example, from 7, or let's say that I'm going to work from this hour, and I'm going to add the break, and the break is going to be probably at 12. It's going to be until 1, and I'm going to work until, let's say, 5. Okay, and let's say that I'm going to be in a specific time zone. Let's say that is this one. Okay, I could configure if these are resource that is going to be that is going to observe the business closure, or is something that doesn't have to be related. So let's say that I'm going to observe this. I'm going to save. Okay, so the CRM and the resource model is going to modify my schedule based on that configuration. Of course, if you want to change one in specific, you could just modify this event. You could modify this and all following events, or you could modify as you need it. If you need more breaks, if you need something additionally, you could do it as well. So the idea is that you need to configure all the resources with all the specific time. Okay. After that, basically that's the initial model, the resource model, that's the principal one that you need to configure. And after that, you could come here again to projects and start configuring your projects. So you could come here to projects. Let's say I have it, some are very configured. Let's enter to some of them. But basically, you just need to define, there's a lot of tabs here. But at the beginning, you need to configure a name, a description. You need to configure a customer, because probably there are some projects that you have related to a specific customer. You need to configure the calendar template that you want to use, because probably there are some customers that probably they are in a different country and you want to configure some specific calendar. You could do it as well. Additionally, you could configure the currency, the contract units, and the project manager. That's something important. You could configure who is going to be the project manager. And additionally, you're going to have some additional fields to define, for example, the status. So you are going to say that it's going to be in green, it's going to be yellow, there is going to be red. Additionally, you could include here some comments, and there are some additional fields that are going to appear here, but that they are auto-calculated. I mean, for example, the schedule performance is going to tell you that you are on time, but it's something that is going to be calculated automatically. The same with the budget, okay? Additionally, you need to define here some basic dates, for example, the estimated start date. And you need to define here at the first time when you create a project, the finish date is something that you are going to be able to include, I guess. And you could, I'm sorry, the finish date is not something that you are going to include. The CRM is going to calculate this based on the task that you include here. And the same with the effort. I mean, the activities that you include here is going to be the effort that you are going to have here. The estimated expense cost is something that you could include because, of course, it's estimated. So you could just define here what's going to be the expense cost. And the material cost is something that you could just estimate too. Okay. Additionally, you could define some dates like the actual start, because this one is the estimated start, but probably you don't start in the same date. So you could configure here what's your real start date. And if you already have that actual finish, you could just leave it here. If not, just leave it in blank. And the CRM is going to be calculating all this information based on the information that you just include later in the CRM. Okay, this one is the first tab for the project. And later, you need to define the task. The task, as probably you can see here, is going to be like a project line model. You could configure here all the stages or all the phases that you have in the project. You could define the activity. You could define when that activity is going to be start, who is the person that is going to be related, of the group of people that is going to be related, and the duration. You could configure that. If you need an additional task, you just need to click here. You could put here like January documents or whatever. And you could configure here the start date and all the things. And you could define here who's the person that is going to be related. Let's say that is going to be me. And you could define here the duration. Okay. Okay. Give me a second, please. Okay, sorry. Later you could configure here if this activity depends of some other. So you could configure here what's the dependency of the activity, and the CRM is going to relay that as soon as you define it. For example, if this activity depends on the number 4, you could just put here the number and that's it. Okay. Later, you could see here, I mean, there are 3 different ways to see the information. You're going to have the grid, that is like a project model. You're going to have like a board. If you want to move the things from different stages, you could define so many different buckets and try to pass the information between buckets. And additionally, you could have the timeline here. So if you include all the activities here, you could just move the activities, increase the time, and do all your management here. Again, you are going to see here the picture of the people that is related to that activity. That's something really cool. Additionally, you could change the Zoom, you could go to a specific day, you could group members, you could export to Excel or export the timeline to PDF. That's something really cool. The only thing that I just saw to this model that doesn't like too much is that you cannot import a project file. That's something probably the next question that you're going to have. You could export that information to Excel, but you cannot take like a project file and import that to here. It's not possible. In a previous version was something possible, but later it changed and it's not possible anymore. Okay, so when you do this, the CRM is going to be configuring your team. I mean, as soon as you relate a person to a task, the CRM is going to include that person to the project as a team member, and it's going to be presenting you the start and finish date here based on the activities that you relate to that person. So if you relate that person that is going to be working from the 20 to the 15, something like that, for example, this one, 20 to the 15. So immediately it's going to be here that that person is going to be involved there. Okay. Okay. After that, you are going to have the resource assignments. So you could see here what are the specific activities that are assigned to a specific person. Okay, so for example here, as you can see, for me, there's 3 activities with some specific roles. I can see here the date. So it's more like a resource analysis, but it's based on the task that you already included. I mean, there is some functionality that you already have it in the project as well. But as you are going to have all the projects in the same place, it's really easy to, I mean, it's not easy, but it's something possible to have the same resources working in many different projects without have that problem of management all the projects in a project online or on projects in separate way. So you are going to have here the possibility. Additionally, there is some resource reconciliation. That is a model that allows you to see if there is people that is not totally assigned, or I mean, probably totally booked. There is a concept here that is assigning and the other one is booked. Assigned is that you should do that activity because it's assigned to you. But booked is when you already have that time really, I mean, just reserved to do that activity. So the specific day is already defined and you already booked it. For the moment, you just have that like assigned, but it's not booked yet. So that's why it appears like you have a lot of assigned, but you don't have a lot of booked. Okay, and the idea here is that you are going to see who is booking shortage or who is excess booking, and it's really cool because you could see per day, I mean per week. This is per week, yes, per week. You could see if a person is assigned too much or not too much. I mean, you could see this by day, you could see this by month, you could see here a lot of different things, and you could configure if you want to show differences at lower levels. Okay. So that's a model that allows you to do that additional analysis. There is estimates model here as well that is going to show you that the cost of the activities that you're going to be doing based on the of the arrays that you configure for each person. Additionally, you could have a tracking to see the project progress. Um, so it's going to be showing you the initial effort, the effort remaining, the percentage of completed. So you could see all that analysis just directly here. Additionally, you could see some sales related information, like for example, the contract, like for example, the quote. So if you, that's why it starts in the sales model. And later you are going to pass to the project operation model. But you are going to have that information related here. Okay, later I'm going to have the task building setup that is to configure that billing activities that you are going to be doing. So you could configure here. It's going to take some time to appear, but it's going to show you the functionality that allow you to configure the task billing activities. And finally, you're going to have an expense estimate. You could include here what are the expenses that you estimate you are going to have in the project. It's not the cost, it's more like travel expenses or like hotels or something like that. You could configure that too here. Okay, there are some additional functionality that probably we are not going to be able to cover, but the main ones are going to be these ones. Okay, and basically those are the functionalities that are going to appear by default. Okay, so as soon as you start using the project, you are going to be able to do that. Now, how could I start like booking the people? For example, if you enter to a schedule board, you are going to see what's the schedule for the people. Okay, you're going to see here if the people have some requirements, some open requirements. As I mentioned, this is not a project operation functionality. This is a resources scheduling functionality. That's why it covers requirements, service activities, work orders for field service, and this one that is going to be for projects. Okay. So as I can see here, I could see that there are some activities that are still pending to be assigned. So if, for example, I want to assign this activity, I just need to select that. And later I could define who's the people that is going to be attending that. I could use that filters. There's a lot of filters here. But later, when you identify who's the person that is going to be working on that, you could just click here. It's going to appear here the time that is going to be using for that. And you could define here the time that you are going to book. And that activity is going to be booked on this time. Okay. So in that way, you could configure what are the activities that you are going to be doing, who's going to be doing that on what week. You could see that per day, per week, per month, wherever. You could do additional things here like move booking to different day, print the schedule board, configure some booking alerts. So there's a lot of things here. This is not project operation model. As I mentioned, it's something regarding the base model, the resource scheduler. But you could do a lot of things here to assign the people. Additionally, if you want to assign a specific activity based on the location, you are going to have the map here, and you could have identify where is someone, and you could assign that activity here. Additionally, you are going to have the resource utilization model. That is a model of, it's a functionality that allows you to see the percentage of activities that are assigned to a person. The idea is that you should be able to identify when a person is totally booked or is or that could work more or something like that. So you could see the utilization in this model as well. Okay. So basically the configuration of the project is like as I just showed you. Later you need to configure the resources. Then you could start using the schedule board to book the resources. And later you could start recording the time for the users. The users are or the resources are not going to be in the project operations model. Probably they are going to be in the project operation team. That is another app that is going to show you the time entry and the expenses and the material uses, and that's it. If you want to time enter something, you just need to click on new. I could see here that I'm going to just, for example, 1 hour. I could identify here the project, could define the project that I'm going to be doing. Let's say that generate documents, that is the activity that I just create. I could define the description or some comments. Uh, the description and comments are for the time entry. I could save it. And I'm going to be able to do some additional things here. Let's say that I want to just record 2 additional hours here or whatever that I want. But later, when I finish to include my time here, I need to submit I need to select this and I need to submit. So, okay, for the moment it's in draft, but when I submit this, it's going to be something that I cannot change anymore, and it's going to be pending for approval. Okay, so next later, let's say that my project manager or whatever that approved that is going to enter to this model to approvals. That time entry is going to be just right here. It's going to appear two because there are two different dates that I include. The person could review that, could review the information, could click it and review it, of course. And later they could approve or reject the time entry. Let's say that I'm going to be approved this. And that's it. Let's say that it was a holiday, so it's not possible that you work on that day. Or I mean, I could add a comment here if I want to reject it, but let's say I'm going to approve. Okay, after do that, if you came to the project and if you see the CRM dynamics and if you see the task, you are going to see that time reflected in this plan, because you are going to see here the progress. It's a column that I haven't included, but I'm going to see here the time. I select the other project. Let me see. Yeah. So you are going to have here the time that you include there, and if you enter to the task, you are going to see the progress. Probably discover me. Well, I select the other one, but you're going to see that progress directly here because you already have that information included. Effort completed 6 hours. That's the information that I have it. And if you enter to task and if you see the project, let's see that you could include here. Okay. I don't know why it's not appearing. Yeah, at the column. So I could see here incomplete, and I will see the complete of the activity based on the time that I include at the beginning. Okay. So based on that time, I'm going to be able to, let me try to open, sorry. Okay, so I'm going to see here general documents that I include 1 day. I already spent a couple of hours. So I'm going to be able to see the progress here. So I am in the 42%. Okay. Okay, so there is basically the project configuration is just like this. Just configure the project, the activities, the task. There is a lot of additional functionality, but it's a really complete model. So probably something that you need to explore in detail. There is a lot of settings here that I mean, on one session it's not possible to cover everything, but I just wanted to highlight the most important ones and the functionalities that you need to know to start using the model. So with this information, you could start using the model. You could enter to this trial instance that we have it, and that is going to be available with the model. If you have any additional question or if you have any concern, or if you have any guidance on the installation process or something like that, you could send me an email and I could send you the information that you need, or if you have any question, just let me know. And I think that that's it for today. That's just one introduction to the model. Probably in a future webinar, we could cover something in more detailed way. but for the moment, that will be the thing. I have a question from Hector Trujillo that says, can you enter a bill or expenses in a different currency? Let's see the model of time entry of expenses that I didn't show you, but let's see. If I enter an expense, or if I want to enter an expense, I need to click here, and it's going to be one currency at a time. Yes. I think that is because I haven't configured more currencies in my instance. But if you have more than one currency in your instance, probably something that you are going to be able to select. I don't know if probably it gives me some. Let me see if I can add a currency that is something quick. If not, you just need to add a currency, and later you are going to be able to select currency here. It's not enabled because you just have I just have one. But if you have more than one, you are going to be able to select the currency, and the CRM is going to do that conversion, and that's it. It's going to work. Sure. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Thanks a lot for your time and for your participation. Let's see you in a next webinar. If you have any question, as I mentioned, just send me an email and I will help you as soon as as soon as I can. Sorry. Thanks a lot for your time.